Elijah sat alone by the window, his gaze fixed on the rain-streaked pane as memories of his past with Samantha flooded his mind. It had been over 2 years since their divorce, but the pain of her betrayal still lingered like a dull ache in his chest. He remembered the day so vividly, as if it had happened only yesterday. They had been high school sweethearts, their love blossoming into a decade-long marriage filled with laughter, dreams, and a deep, unbreakable bond. Or so he had thought. One fateful evening, Elijah had come home early, eager to surprise Samantha with a romantic dinner. But the surprise was on him. He found her in the arms of another man, their bodies intertwined in a passionate embrace. The shattering of his heart was deafening, and in that moment, Elijah knew his world would never be the same. Samantha's tearful pleas for forgiveness had fallen on deaf ears. The trust he had placed in her had been irrevocably shattered, and Elijah knew he could never look at her the same way again. The divorce proceedings were painful, both emotionally and financially, but Elijah was determined to move on, to start anew. Yet, as he sat there, staring out at the rain, a part of him still yearned for the life he had once known. The memories of their early days, the trips they had taken, the inside jokes they had shared, they all seemed to mock him, reminding him of what he had lost. Elijah let out a heavy sigh, running a hand through his hair. He had tried to fill the void with work, with casual flings, but nothing seemed to dull the ache. Samantha had been his everything, his soulmate, and the thought of her being with another man still made his stomach twist with a mix of anger and heartbreak. As the rain intensified, Elijah closed his eyes, willing himself to let go of the past. But Samantha's face, etched into his mind, refused to fade. He knew he needed to find the strength to move forward, to open his heart to the possibility of a new love. Yet the fear of being betrayed again lingered, casting a shadow over his future. With a deep breath, Elijah stood up, his gaze resolute. He would not allow the ghosts of the past to haunt him forever. It was time to take the first step towards healing, towards rebuilding his life. The road ahead may be uncertain, but Elijah was determined to face it, one day at a time. The soft glow of the bar's neon lights cast a warm hue over Elijah's pensive face as he sat alone, nursing a glass of whiskey. The familiar burn of the amber liquid did little to dull the ache that had become a constant companion since his divorce from Samantha. As he stared into the depths of his glass, a movement in the corner of his eye caught his attention. Beautiful woman, with flowing auburn hair and eyes that seemed to sparkle with an inner fire, approached him. Elijah felt his breath catch in his throat as she slid onto the bar stool beside him. "Hi there," she said, her voice low and smooth like melted chocolate. "You look like you could use some company." Elijah blinked, momentarily caught off guard by her direct approach. Yeah. "I suppose I could," he replied, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "I'm Lily," she introduced herself, extending a slender hand. "And you are?" "Elijah," he responded, taking her hand in his. The warmth of her skin sent a subtle jolt of electricity through him, and for a moment, he felt the weight of his troubles lift. "Well, Elijah," Lily said, leaning in closer, "what's a handsome guy like you doing all alone in a place like this?" Elijah's cheeks flushed slightly at her compliment, and he found himself drawn to the alluring spark in her eyes. "Just trying to clear my head, I guess," he admitted, taking a sip of his drink. "It's been a rough couple of years." Lily nodded empathetically. "I know the feeling. Sometimes, a stiff drink and good company are exactly what the doctor ordered." She placed a gentle hand on his forearm, her touch igniting a flame within him that he hadn't felt in a long time. "You know, I've been coming here for years, and I don't think I've ever seen you around before," Lily said, her gaze never leaving his. I'd remember a face like yours." Elijah chuckled nervously, suddenly self-conscious under the intensity of her attention. "Well, I'm not exactly irregular. Just needed to get out of the house for a bit." "I see." Lily leaned back, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Well, then, I'm glad I decided to grace you with my presence tonight. Maybe I can help you forget your troubles, even if just for a little while." The way she said the words sent a shiver down Elijah's spine, and he found himself captivated by this intriguing stranger. As they fell into an easy conversation, the ghosts of his past seemed to fade, replaced by a sense of possibilities he hadn't dared to entertain in a long time. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Elijah felt a glimmer of hope begin to stir within him. Perhaps this chance encounter was exactly what he needed to take the first step towards healing and moving on. Just as Elijah was beginning to feel a sense of hope and possibility in his newfound connection with Lily, fate had a cruel way of intervening. One evening, as he and Lily were enjoying a cozy dinner at a local restaurant, a familiar figure suddenly appeared in the doorway, causing Elijah's heart to skip a beat. "Samantha," he breathed, the name leaving his lips with a mix of surprise and trepidation. Lily, sensing the sudden shift in Elijah's demeanor, turned to follow his gaze. "Who's Samantha?" she asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Elijah swallowed hard, his eyes trained on the woman who had once been the center of his world. "She's my ex-wife," he admitted, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. Samantha, her eyes filled with a desperate plea, made her way towards their table, her movements hesitant and uncertain. "Elijah," she said, her voice quivering ever so slightly. I need to talk to you. It's important." Lily glanced between the two, sensing the palpable tension in the air. "I'll, give you a moment," she said, starting to rise from her seat. "No, please," Elijah said, gently placing his hand on hers. "Stay. Whatever Samantha has to say, she can say it in front of you." Samantha's gaze flickered to Lily, a flash of jealousy and apprehension crossing her features. "Elijah, I'm so sorry to just show up like this, but I really need your help." Elijah steeled himself, his heart pounding in his chest. "What is it, Samantha?" Samantha's voice trailed off, and she seemed to shrink in on herself. "I think I may have contracted something. A sexually transmitted disease." The words hung in the air, thick with implications and a sense of dread. Elijah felt his stomach twist with a mix of emotions, shock, anger, and a lingering sadness that he had worked so hard to bury. "What?" he breathed, his grip tightening on Lily's hand. "How is that even possible?" Samantha's eyes filled with tears, her composure crumbling. I haven't been faithful, Elijah. I made a terrible mistake, and now I'm scared. I need you to help me, please." Lily watched the exchange with a mixture of compassion and uncertainty, squeezing Elijah's hand reassuringly. The once comfortable atmosphere had been shattered, replaced by a charged, uncomfortable silence. Elijah felt trapped, his heart torn between the new life he was trying to build with Lily and the haunting remnants of his past with Samantha. As he gazed into Samantha's desperate eyes, he knew that this moment would inevitably force him to confront the demons he had been running from for so long. The revelation of Samantha's potential health crisis had thrown Elijah's life into disarray once again. As he sat across from her, his mind racing with a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the weight of the situation. Lily, sensing the tension and the unspoken history between Elijah and Samantha, remained silent, her hand gently squeezing his in a show of support. She could see the internal struggle playing out on Elijah's face, the familiar ghosts of his past resurfacing to challenge the fragile hope he had started to cultivate. Samantha's eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup slightly smeared from the tears that had escaped down her cheeks. "Elijah, please," she pleaded, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know I don't deserve it, but I need you. I need your help." Elijah let out a heavy sigh, running his free hand through his hair. "Samantha, He paused, his gaze flicking briefly to Lily before settling back on his ex-wife. "I don't know what to say. After everything that's happened, how can I possibly trust you again?" Samantha reached across the table, her hand trembling as she placed it over his. "I'm so sorry, Elijah. I know I betrayed your trust, and I'll never forgive myself for that. But please, I'm scared. I don't know what to do, and I have nowhere else to turn." Lily watched the interaction, her heart itching for the pain and conflict etched on Elijah's face. She knew that he still harbored deep feelings for Samantha, despite the anguish she had caused him. The prospect of losing him to the past was a reality that Lily was not prepared to face. Elijah's gaze flicked to Lily, his eyes silently pleading for guidance, for some semblance of certainty in the midst of this tumultuous storm. Lily gave him a reassuring nod, her expression conveying her understanding and her willingness to support him, whatever his decision may be. "Samantha," Elijah began, his voice heavy with resignation. I'll help you, but only because I don't want to see you suffer, regardless of what's happened between us." Samantha's face lit up with a glimmer of hope, and she reached across the table to grasp Elijah's hand tightly. "Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, thank you." Lily watched the interaction, her heart sinking. She knew that by agreeing to help Samantha, Elijah was once again opening the door to the past, risking the fragile connection they had begun to build. Yet, she also understood the weight of his decision, the compassion that still resided within him, even after all that Samantha had done. As Elijah and Samantha made plans to address the health crisis, Lily couldn't help but feel a pang of uncertainty. She had thought that she and Elijah were on the cusp of something truly special, a chance to create a new, fulfilling chapter in both of their lives. But now, with Samantha's reappearance, Lily found herself caught in the crosshairs of Elijah's divided heart, unsure of where their relationship would ultimately lead. The tension in the air was palpable as Lily sat across from Samantha, her fingers tapping nervously against the tabletop. After Elijah's decision to help his ex-wife, Lily had insisted on meeting with Samantha one-on-one, determined to understand the full scope of the situation and her place in Elijah's life. So, Lily began, her voice measured and calm. "You're the reason Elijah's been so distracted lately." Samantha shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her gaze reluctantly meeting Lily's. "I suppose I am," she replied, her tone laced with a hint of defensiveness. "Look, I don't mean to come across as confrontational," Lily continued, "but I care about Elijah, and I need to understand what's going on here. What exactly happened between the two of you?" Samantha sighed heavily, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of the tablecloth. "Elijah and we were high school sweethearts. We got married, and for a long time, we were happy. But then, a couple of years ago, her voice trailed off, pained expression crossing her features. "You what?" Lily prompted, her curiosity and concern palpable. I cheated on him," Samantha finally admitted, her words barely above a whisper. "I was with another man, and Elijah found out. It destroyed our marriage, and I've regretted it every single day since." Lily's eyes widened with a mix of surprise and understanding. "I see. And now you're asking for Elijah's help with something medical?" Samantha nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I think I may have contracted an STD. I'm scared, Lily, and I have no one else to turn to. Elijah is the only one who can help me." Lily leaned back in her chair, her mind racing as she processed this new information. "And where does that leave me?" she asked, her voice tinged with a hint of vulnerability. "Where do I fit into all of this?" Samantha's gaze shifted, a flicker of emotion crossing her features. "I'm not trying to come between you and Elijah," she said, her words laced with a trace of guilt. "I know I've hurt him deeply, and I have no right to expect anything from him, but he's the only one who can help me, and I'm desperate." Lily felt a pang of sympathy, but she couldn't ignore the possessive tug in her heart. "Elijah and I have been building something special, Samantha. I don't want to see that jeopardized." Samantha's eyes narrowed slightly, a spark of jealousy igniting within her. "Understand, Lily, but Elijah and I have a history that you can't just erase. He still cares about me, and I know that deep down, a part of him still loves me." The two women locked gazes, the air thick with tension and unspoken emotions. Lily knew that this was a battle she couldn't afford to lose, not when she had fought so hard to open Elijah's heart again. "Well, then," Lily said, her voice laced with determination, "I guess we'll just have to see about that, won't we?" The confrontation between Lily and Samantha had left Elijah reeling, his heart torn between the two women who had irrevocably shaped his life. As he sat in his apartment, nursing a glass of whiskey, the weight of his decision seemed to press down on him, suffocating him with its intensity. He knew he couldn't keep straddling the line between his past and his future. Samantha's reappearance had forced him to confront the demons he had tried so hard to bury, but at the same time, his growing affection for Lily had ignited a glimmer of hope within him. A chance to start anew, to find happiness once more. Letting out a heavy sigh, Elijah stood and began pacing the room, his mind racing with the implications of each possible path. He thought back to his conversation with Lily, their words echoing in his mind. "Elijah," Lily had said, her eyes filled with a mix of compassion and determination, "I know this is a difficult situation, but I need you to be honest with yourself. Do you still love Samantha?" Elijah had hesitated, his gaze dropping to the floor. I don't know, Lily. A part of me will always care for her, but what she did..." He shook his head, the pain of the past still palpable. Lily had reached out, gently placing her hand on his arm. "I understand, Elijah, but you have to decide. Do you want to spend the rest of your life looking back, or do you want to move forward with me?" The question had hung in the air, a silent challenge that Elijah knew he couldn't ignore. As he paced his apartment, the weight of Lily's words settled heavily on his shoulders. "Move forward," he murmured to himself, the realization dawning on him. "I have to move forward." Grabbing his keys, Elijah hurried out the door, his mind made up. He knew that taking this leap of faith wouldn't be easy, but he also knew that he couldn't keep living in the shadow of his past. Samantha had been a significant part of his life, but Lily represented the chance for a new beginning, a chance to find the happiness he had once thought was lost forever. As Elijah pulled up to Lily's apartment, he took a deep breath, steeling himself for the conversation that was to come. He knew that his decision would inevitably hurt Samantha, but he also knew that he owed it to himself and to Lily to be honest about where his heart truly lay. Knocking on Lily's door, Elijah waited with bated breath, his heart pounding in his chest. When Lily opened the door, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. Elijah knew that this was the moment of truth. "Lily," he said, his voice firm and resolute, "I've made my decision. I want to be with you, and only you. I'm ready to move forward, to leave the past behind and build a future together. Lily's eyes widened, and for a moment, she was rendered speechless. Then, a radiant smile spread across her face, and she pulled Elijah into a tight embrace. "Oh, Elijah," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm so proud of you. I know it wasn't an easy choice, but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." As they held each other, Elijah felt a weight lift from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. He knew that the road ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but with Lily by his side, he was ready to face them, one step at a time. As the sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the room, Elijah stirred, his eyes slowly fluttering open. Beside him, Lily slumbered peacefully, her features relaxed and content. Elijah couldn't help but smile, marveling at the sense of peace and tranquility that had settled over him. It had been a few months since he had made the decision to fully commit to his relationship with Lily, and the change in his demeanor was palpable. The weight of the past no longer seemed to weigh him down, and the haunting specters of his broken marriage with Samantha had finally begun to fade. Gently, Elijah brushed a stray lock of hair from Lily's face, his heart swelling with affection. He knew that the road to this moment had not been an easy one, but he was grateful that he had found the courage to take that leap of faith. Lily's eyes fluttered open, and she greeted him with a radiant smile. "Good morning, handsome," she murmured, her voice thick with sleep. "Good morning, beautiful," Elijah replied, leaning in to press a tender kiss to her forehead. As they lay entwined, Elijah couldn't help but reflect on the past few months. Telling Samantha about his decision had been the hardest part. Her tears and pleas for him to reconsider had nearly shaken his resolve. But in the end, he knew that he had to stay true to his heart, even if it meant causing her more pain. "Are you all right?" Lily asked, her brow furrowed with concern as she studied Elijah's pensive expression. Elijah nodded, offering her a reassuring smile. "I am, Lily. I'm more than all right. I'm happy, truly happy, in a way I haven't been in a very long time." Lily's eyes sparkled with joy, and she pulled him close, nuzzling into the crook of his neck. "I'm so glad to hear that, Elijah. You deserve all the happiness in the world." As they held each other, Elijah knew that this was the start of a new chapter, one filled with the promise of a future brighter than he could have ever imagined. The scars of the past would always be a part of him, but with Lily by his side, he was ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. The question that lingers in the air is this: when faced with the complexities of our past, how do we find the courage to embrace a new beginning and forge our own path to happiness? The story of Elijah, Samantha, and Lily serves as a powerful reminder that the journey to self-discovery and fulfillment is not always an easy one, but it is a journey worth taking. So, dear viewers, if you find yourself at a crossroads, torn between the ghosts of your past and the allure of a brighter future, take solace in the knowledge that you have the power to choose your own path. Embrace the leap of faith and let your heart guide you towards the happiness you deserve. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends and loved ones. Until next time, keep moving forward.